All right, welcome everyone. You're joining the Kubernetes Upstream Marketing Community Meeting. We all know each other, but code of conduct applies. Be kind to each other. Be excellent to each other, as Paris always puts it, which I love. We are at the tail end of KubeCon EU, which happened digitally. So congratulations for all those that survived it. I maybe like just quick check-in. Who was able to participate? Any thoughts, feels, insights?
Go ahead, Caslin.
Please.
Yeah, I had a good time at it. I didn't actually watch many sessions, which I'm very sad about. I'm hoping to go back and check them out once they're up, the recordings. But my session went really well. I had a lot of questions during it, and then afterwards I went to the Slack. They have you like if your question didn't get answered, please go over to the Slack, and the speaker will be hanging out there for a bit. And I had like 25 questions there or something.
Wow.
Like a bunch of them were just like, thanks for the talk. Like I think 18 were like, thanks for the talk, and then there were another like
That's cool.
8 or something that were actual like in-depth questions that people got into, and it started a conversation. It had a bunch of people chiming in, and so it was a lot of fun. And then I had more people watching it throughout the week, and I got periodic pings like, I just watched your talk. It went really well.
Yeah, and I watched your talk, and I was waiting for this meeting to tell you that was brilliant. I
Yay!
didn't hear anything,
Wow,
but
yay.
that was amazing.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting. Lots of people have been saying it was helpful, so I'm like, oh, I need to work on blogs.
Well,
It's always one or the other, Caslin. It's either the blogs turn into talks or the talks turn into blogs. That's always how it works.
Yeah. I have a couple that were blogs and then talks, and then this one I really need to go the other way on.
Cool.
So cool.
And then I did mentoring too, which Chris was on, which was awesome.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about that. Like, that was the highlight of my KubeCon, was the mentoring sessions yesterday. Caslin was a part of it as well. We actually transitioned tables. I spent too long at my first table, sadly. There was a lot of newbies there that were like super interested in like how do I career, right? So it was very
so satisfying.
Yeah, like it was
very
very helpful, and like I met a lot of new people in the community, network with them and helping them network. And then we went even a step further. Like on a corporate level, we had extra like tickets, right? Like Red Hat had extra tickets, so some people that had been frequent participants on our streaming channels and everything, right? Like we made sure they went to KubeCon and got the best out of it. And like talking to them, they've networked with recruiters and everything else. So like it's like the best feeling in the world today. Like I'm exhausted, right? Like yesterday actually felt like a real KubeCon day for me because I did talk moderation and all kinds of like panels and stuff like that. But it feels so good to like have helped so many people yesterday. That's like my favorite thing in the world about this community.
I love it. That's a fantastic story. It sounds like, Caslin, you had a good experience as well.
Yeah, I feel like the talk moderation and stuff, there was more that I could have done, but I was very cautious with the time zones. I didn't want to overtax myself and do something poorly.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot going on, and it seemed like there was pretty good interaction, which is something that's really hard to get with virtual conferences.
Yeah.
So our booth, of course, didn't get that much interaction. I think the booths weren't the popular happening spot, but the Slack and stuff was happening. So that was good.
It was funny. I went in day 0 and just said, hey, happy KubeCon to like all the companies I'd ever interacted with in their booths. And this morning I was going through the last of them, like logging out, leaving them or whatever, leaving those channels. And like the lack of activity in those channels was just like, wow, they shouldn't do this again. It's like, oof.
Yeah, events.
The Red Hat channel was busy, but we had like Red Hatters in there actually like talking and doing stuff, right? Like we had a purpose behind it. Like we knew we were going to have to do it. So it's funny how you can tell like people that knew it was a thing and people who didn't.
Online conferences we're all adjusting, so holding a lot of grace for that. I'm glad your talk went well. That's the most important thing, and getting to newbies, so that's fantastic. Because we want everyone to feel welcome here, and that's pretty much what I think Kubernetes is the most amazing at. So
literally, I think I only talked to one person that looked like me the entire time. Like, that's the best part.
Good. That's great.
So great.
Great. Cool. All right. Well, transitioning agenda-wise, I threw some stuff on here based on what we've been talking about throughout the week. It's been like a very cool week for comms. It's like we're actually needed, which feels satisfying. So there's a couple things that I call action required. Like we have a comms request floating around. And I just want to make sure we kind of know how to process our own. Thank you. We know how to process our own one, and then seeing if anyone could do a PR review for me on the change to the comms template.
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool.
You
get me there, and then after that, the Kubernetes .dev should be soft launched by now. I'm not sure.
It is. It's soft launched.
Okay,
soft
great.
launched. Yeah, they haven't hard launched it yet. Tim somebody threw in a A11Y question yesterday, so we're considering that.
Could you expand that for people that?
So there's this, like the header, the navigation text is like light blue, and the header itself is dark blue, and there's some stuff like that, like a dark gray with like a lighter gray kind of text on the page as well. So like they're not very high contrast, they're very low contrast, like not even like median, like they're so low contrast that like Tim brought up that maybe we need to adjust some color schemes there, and that's viable like feedback.
Yeah, for accessibility for those who might not be able to see the colors well, have like,
right, like
yeah,
especially
color
since this
blindness.
is the contributor site.
Yeah. And I think the header is like a picture, right? So part of it is high contrast, but part of it is not. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge to fix. I was wondering how people would address that, but
I mean, to be honest with you, I think like blue and white are high contrast enough, aren't they?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
just
but that's a whole
we're not solving that accessibility challenge here.
To me, it's like pretty easy CSS fixes, but I don't know what's involved with the whole Doxy theme and everything. So
yeah,
who knows?
It's always easy when you're not doing it.
Exactly.
I want to bring it up. I think Bob had something come up, so he won't be able to make it. But just want to see. I know that he's championing the launch of that and wanted our support throughout. And then just wanted to gauge if anyone understands if there's any additional action we should take in the short term to help that succeed. So like, are there call to actions that we should kind of queue up in our Twitter for when we're ready to launch and just hit merge once it's ready to go? Are there other channels we should be messaging to? And is there like a bit of a plan for an ongoing cadence of reminding people like, hey, this is the new place.
You're talking about a campaign, aren't you?
I am gently navigating around what you would traditionally call a marketing campaign, but we all,
I mean, let's call it what it is, right? Like,
well, a lot of people assume what that means, and I don't want to assume it.
Okay.
I just want to talk about the discrete parts. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was thinking like, well, what is our call to action? What is our cadence? How do we as a group feel like we can support the success of this new channel?
I'm definitely excited to start getting some tweets together. I haven't talked to Bob enough yet to be sure exactly what we're going to put together or when it might go out by. So I haven't touched it yet, but I know that we're definitely going to do some tweeting about it.
I would be curious to see how frequently Bob would like us to tweet about it, because I think it's one of those things that we could, like, especially launch week, we could tweet something every day about the site, right? Like there's enough stuff there. We could do like a tweet a day kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then like monthly or bi-weekly or weekly or whatever kind of cadence we want to establish there with, has there been new content added, right? Like we need to have like a constant like touch point, I feel like, either weekly, bi-weekly, whatever that may be, monthly, just to like say, we're going to definitely tweet about something every X time.
Yeah, I think, please.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that I agree with that. Just reading about it won't help. I mean, the cadence should be based on what new content is coming up. I mean, we are adding a new blog, or probably we are putting up some new meeting there, or something, right? Something that is new coming up that would actually help. Like we can do it for 1 week. We can, as Chris said, like probably run a campaign or something. But after that, we should be more careful with that, right? Because if you do it again and again,
Fresh
it goes
content.
towards being
Yeah. You got to keep
It's
it
a
fresh.
fantastic point that
Great point.
And a fun way we could probably use somebody told me digital exhaust again, and I hadn't heard it in a while, which is this idea of like, if somebody's already moving a car, like, can we just take the exhaust of what they're doing and reuse that as content? It's this very
Never
weird
heard it
metaphor.
phrased that way before. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah, he's constantly looking to reuse his output. Like, so he's input into the car. How can I take the output and make that meaningful?
Nice.
Like, I
Interesting.
love that framing. I'm like, so there's already been so much input plugged into the site. I wonder, we could, Kazlan as lead, like you can take lead on it, but if you want help kind of decomposing parts of the site and be like, hey, here's an interesting takeaway. And then, by the way, bookmark this page. So I guess I keep thinking that the call to action in my mind is to bookmark this. Like, we want to drive participation on that site, or a reminder that that is your main site. Does anyone, and that's just the first one. We could have multiple CTAs because it's going to be a long-term goal. Anyone have other ideas of, I guess I don't know how to participate in it yet. Like, there's always a call to action to participate, but yeah, I want to be as specific as possible for people.
I think we should also have hashtags just for those series of tweets.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's a good idea.
What comes to mind, Urzula?
Dev.
Or like, what's your motivation?
I can't think of something.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Actually, when you tweet something about the new content, it gets fade away, within like half an hour or sometime. Even if the channel members are like huge. So when you type something, it goes upwards, and people might not see our content, or like whatever you tweet or whatever you type in there. So it is a good idea, like, to retweet like what you have tweeted, like 2 days before, or like 1 day before. I mean, if it is really important. And
yeah, for important things, I try to tweet them twice in different time zones.
Yeah, exactly. So it's ideal to retweet.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point, Suresh. So you're saying like we should self-retweet sometimes, like use that functionality, or are you saying retweet others as well?
No, retweet the same content. Actually, for example, retweet the same content from the same handle, like from wherever you are tweeting. And let's say I have tweeted something about some content today, but it gets fade away today itself, because I follow like many people, like and this tweet get lost somewhere else. And so when I visit tomorrow, I mean, this tweet should be somewhere else in my new timeline. So
yes, yeah, you're also reminding me of another strategy that comes to mind of, so there's going to be an announcement email. I'm guessing that's coming from Bob, but
he's drafting it.
Yeah, maybe we could get a tweet out there first and link to it and ask people to retweet it to help elevate that. Like that's a great way to get a lot of visibility through having like one centralized tweet that gets retweeted by a lot of people.
So like an actual like coordination with Bob.
Yeah, just a tiny bit of coordination, like an itsy bitsy. Like Kazlan sends a tweet from the handle, and then Bob says, "Hey everyone, please share or retweet here or both as a call to action," and it helped us elevate that channel and our Twitter handle.
Yeah, man. So if I understand it correctly, the tweet link goes with the mail that Bob is gonna send, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's a surprisingly effective trick because it gives people that don't want to think of their own tweet like a one-click way of participating.
And that also drives people to Chaos contributor handle as well. Pretty clever. Nice. Yeah. Brilliant.
I'm glad that helped. Okay. Like full of clever marketing terms today.
That's great.
Good. Any other thoughts on Kubernetes.dev?
Do you have any idea where's the GitHub for that website?
Yes, it's in the SIG. So Kubernetes SIG. Let me look it up. Kubernetes SIG. It's a repo in that GitHub organization.
I think it's a pretty good resource for first new issues, like the ones for new contributors. I think we should focus on that.
Sorry, I might have missed that while I was looking. Can you say that again?
I'm saying it's a good source of good first issues. So I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I just linked in the doc. So Kubernetes-sig/contributor-site. I think it might migrate to the main organization once it goes live, but I'm not certain on that.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really up to other people. That's fine. The only other thing I wanted to strategize on from a comms point of view is I noticed that there's another blog location there. And if I've learned anything from search engine optimization of sites, blogs are really great locations to drive organic traffic and thus like help us drive people to this new site. But now we're also competing with yet another channel. So it's a separate channel from Kubernetes.io blog. So it kind of opens the question of like, are we thinking about, are there syndication options, or what are thoughts? What are you thinking, Chris?
I mean, I would really like this site to focus on contributor work, right? Like I don't, it would be very selective stuff from Kubernetes.io that would even be like thought of to bleed over potentially. And we would have to work with CNCF staff on that anyway, to syndicate potentially.
And we own everything, and it's under Creative Commons on Kubernetes.io.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're if we were doing stuff on CNCF.io, that would be.
That's right. Never mind. Sorry. I get those confused all the time. Sorry.
Totally fair, but that's the thing. Like we have these clusters of interesting content, and I think we're the champions of keeping it clear. Like, hey, if you have an interesting story like X, put it here. If it's like Y, put it there. And I wonder if we can help them theme Kubernetes.dev. We could say like, hey, what's a trick you use to make contributing to Kubernetes easy for you? Whether it's a command line utility or something you do that's been fun, like write it up here. Like help them theme that blog.
You know, that's like a good campaign all by itself, right?
Totally.
Yeah, right. Like, have you done something for the contributor, community lately? Do you want to write a blog post about it? Yeah.
Nailed it. That's a really good one.
Yeah. I mean, that was your idea. I just put it out there.
I think we can have a complete blog series for how someone started their first contribution. Like, can be an n number of comments. Yeah. That's
a good idea.
That's a really good one. And tips and tricks for contributing. So there's something I've gone through a lot of conversations around like differentiation of blogs in an organization as, small compared to others, but pretty large compared to us, like at Red Hat. And the number one takeaway being like, there's no such thing as super clear swim lanes. Like there will be overlap. And the question is like, can we make it clear like what the main audience is and what are some good examples? Because and then be okay with syndication. Like I think if somebody writes a great like, here's my first contributor story, and regardless of where they write it the first time, like syndicate it over to the other one and link across, like that will actually help our SEO, not hurt. But I can also go into SEO some other time. I realize that's something that really
SEO is a big topic, and
so
you could probably touch on it
Yeah.
every week if you wanted to, man, in this meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Any other things on the .dev site that come to mind? I'll just sign up to take the next action to reach out to Bob and see how we can be helpful. I know you mentioned in passing that Monday is their launch goal. So to see what that looks like, and probably pull you in, Caslin, for messaging coordination through Twitter. And Rajula, have you been asked to email anything or do anything there?
I think Bob already did an email. So,
okay. Yeah, he's doing it himself. Okay, cool. Next up, any articles in progress we should talk through updates on? I think we've all been pretty busy this week, to say the least. Other focuses. So moving along, bots in progress. Rajula, could you, anything we can do to help? Well, I saw the update from Jeff on your Slack bot, so that's exciting.
Yeah, I did resolve this feedback. So I just re-requested the review. So awesome. I think, yeah.
Yeah, the only open thought I had there was, I don't know how they normally manage the Slack infra. So for others, the Rajula's Slack bot lives in a repo that's dedicated to all Slack bots. So he'll be mixed with other projects. My hope is that we can go from that really long thread of different feature requests to very specific, separate modular issues in this new repo once it's ready or once it's merged. And I guess I wanted to gauge if does that make sense to you, Rajula, that you'd look in that channel, or we should kind of keep posting in Kubernetes/community with feature requests?
I think we should take the request there and then keep putting the code here, because this is integrated with the cloud.
So I'm hearing you that the infra, keep it in the infra.
So the infra repo is actually connected to the cloud. So whatever we put there gets deployed once it gets merged.
Okay.
So, and also it's managed by multiple people. So I think we should take requests on our community channel.
Okay.
And keep posting the updates there.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Community is a better location for our audience. Fantastic. Just wanted us all to be aligned on where that's going forward, so that we don't have a split brain of repos pretty soon.
I think once we have more automation, we should come back to this discussion where to put them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to get to this really fun, complicated level of how does this little piece talk to that little piece to give the whole notification system. And that'll be a hot mess that we will enjoy figuring out together. Cool. In Twitter bot, we've got the Twitter action thing. Want to just gauge, I guess the question I held, are we ready to possibly switch over to it full time, in the sense of not have people log in and tweet directly, but we stick to using the repo as a way of having a log of what we're tweeting and when, or is it too soon for that?
So I forewent that for the KubeCon EU tweets because of the timing of them.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to time them an hour before a track started or an hour before the event started for the day, and I wasn't going to be able to get up and do that, and I didn't want to have to ask someone to go and unhold tweets in the repo at a specific time, since I was trying to time them pretty close. So I just went ahead and used TweetDeck for those, since I could schedule them for a specific time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But there was a benefit to that, because I saw Kazlan do that. I was scrolling through my TweetDeck and I saw all the scheduled tweets for Kate's contributors, and I was able to review them, just boom, right there on the spot. So, yeah, I mean, there's some benefit to keeping TweetDeck around for events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's also the main tool I use when I need to go in and retweet something.
Yeah, the retweet thing is another functionality that we got to figure out too, right?
Yeah, there's no retweet in the repo.
So yeah, it tells a story to me that maybe thinking about it for a different audience, right? For this team, we manage our Twitter quite closely through TweetDeck with a +1 support system of you on point and you reviewing. I'm pointing to you on my screen.
Yes,
you obviously know.
yeah, we got it.
That makes sense. This is how things work now. But like maybe the scope of this GitHub Action functionality isn't for us. It's actually for others to be able to recommend tweets.
Yeah.
In a smooth way and have verification. I kind of love that message as opposed to saying like we're going to start using it all the time, because that's very limiting.
I mean, we definitely should be dog fooding it to make sure it works, like once a week, maybe, Caslin, but like not like it should. We shouldn't force ourselves into it if it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah. Also, some of the tweets, like the shout outs, you got to go through and make sure that everyone said they were okay with being shared and find all of the ats and get all of that prepped. And so, yeah. And depending on the timing of when all of the shout outs come in, it can be a little, usually I've been doing it on Friday and yeah.
Totally.
So that one's also another challenge.
But as a non like social media handle wow, what am I saying? As somebody who doesn't have the permissions to log into that Twitter handle, and trust me, I don't want them. I don't want to manage more Twitter accounts.
You sure?
Yeah, positive. I'm terrible at it. Like I'm really good at only being myself there. I use the PR tool, like the GitHub Actions function, and it was awesome. Super fun, super easy. I just put a little .tweet file in. Y'all reviewed it. It merged. And I think the only thing I need to wrap my head around is the scheduling, so that you can merge and then it will still tweet on a schedule, which I know is documented. I just haven't tested it.
We don't have that right now. It doesn't work.
Okay, that's not.
Yeah.
You know what?
We need Prow for that, if you recall correctly. We were going to investigate trying to get Prow to do the auto merges.
Oh, that sounds terrible. Don't do that. I mean, that sounds useful, but like I've heard just the challenge of adding new features to Prow right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I thought the workaround we came up with was similar to release notes. We'll put a hold on tweets and have someone manually go in and unhold them. Yeah, because the issue is that the scheduling functionality doesn't work if you're forking the repo and PRing from a fork, which is how we do things.
Normal.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just can't use it.
That's fine. That's completely fine, and we'll work within the limitation there. So it's like we'll basically say if anyone has a good tweet idea, open a PR and we'll merge it at our convenience. But back to the original way in which we're messaging out, it's like if somebody has an urgent thing that we're sending them to Slack to like ping us right away to do something. So like this should all be able to be asynchronous, which is great.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that it was a great experience for you doing that one tweet. So I think it can still definitely be a useful tool, like you were saying. Just it has its limitations.
Rachel, you look like you're gonna say something.
Yeah, so I'm still exploring the workaround for the scheduling thing. I found a couple of things. I'll just test out and then get back in the next meeting if we can do something.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Yeah. So in the meantime, I think we can think through kind of updating the framing and messaging of that repo, of that audience, and kind of maybe if it's set up in a way, I think I saw a permissions thing. Can anyone offer a pull request to that tweet actions thing and it'll tweet if it merges? Is that correct?
If we approve it, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I didn't know if there was I was looking at the Slack thing. Okay, there's like a user group limitation, and I definitely crossed the repo streams there.
Completely understandable though.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So I think that'd be a really powerful message for others. Just like, hey, this isn't just our Twitter account. It's the collective our Twitter account. Like, suggest ideas. We will review them. We will merge them. It is this nice little Unix-friendly syntax. Like, come play with us.
Yeah. In the last meeting, we also discussed that we might want to update like our issue template and some other things like the README for the repo and stuff to help people understand that. But we were kind of trying to figure out the whole thing plus KubeCon, so we haven't started doing those things yet, but it was something that was briefly discussed.
KubeCon's kind of thrown a wrench.
Oh, understandably, yeah. And sorry, I didn't get a chance to listen to the past meeting, so
all good.
We already talked about it.
That's what we're here for.
Good. All right, great. Email announcements.
I added this.
Okay, please, yeah, take it away.
Yeah, so so the email announcement we are doing is using a personal ID. So that's what Jonas was doing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to figure out how to do it from an official ID.
Right. And what was there? I think Paris mentioned and Jonas mentioned trying to get access to community at, and that was a bit of a gnarly
nightmare
process.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe to take a step back of that is definitely, it would be a nice outcome. It would feel very official from the able to speak from the community. But what's the motivation? Like, is there a good reason why we shouldn't say from ourselves? If that makes sense. Yeah, I guess for people that filter email, like we'd want people to be able to filter on community at, as opposed to, maybe they want to filter me into their spam, but they want to pay attention to community at. Yeah.
I think this comes back to the discussion of when do we email? Let's say for the new website, Bob is gonna email. Like, when are we gonna go do that? Or like, should we have a request for, like, it should be from a marketing team, or anyone can gonna do it? Yeah, because it's not like Twitter, right? An email, like anyone can do it. So we need to figure out probably some rules or something, like when do we do it? Like anyone can send a reminder. So when does the marketing team has to come in?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Or probably we are gonna need a new email, not the community, probably the contributor set or something like that. That could actually create a difference right there. I mean, we don't have to own the community one. I mean, some who is doing from the community one. Either we took the shared responsibility of that, or we have our own separation.
It's a great point. Yeah, that there's an alternative, like make a new account if we can't get access to the previous account. And then the thing floating around my head is like, let's think through the specific example of, Bob, who is a lead in SIG contributor experience, is going to message out this new launch of something that we've been working on in ContribX. Like, is that a good thing? Or does it feel like we should be doing it from ours? My instinct says this group is to enable people and never to block them. So if Bob's the right person to send it, Godspeed, Bob should send it, and maybe we should send a follow-up email. But I don't want to miss your point. Does that, what were you saying, Richard?
My question was in general, not specific to this. In general. So let's say when someone wants to announce something on Twitter, so we only do it. So as a marketing team, we tweet it out because we have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
But when it comes to email, it's a general thing. So the announcements, the reminders, it can be sent from anyone. So my question is, what should the marketing team email and what they should not email? So it's a very general question.
Totally. Yeah. I think we have some pretty good guidelines in our marketing documentation, like what we're messaging out versus what other people are messaging out. Like, so I'll grab some specifics, but the way I think about it is that when somebody requests something through the form, we're going to try to basically do a small campaign for them. So we're going to go to multiple channels. We're maybe going to repeat it multiple times. We'll use the communication strategy that we have to flag it as like action required or urgent or just an FYI type action. And other people are are not going to offer that same structure necessarily. So it's something like we're offering something that's like a dependable service for people to be able to filter. And when do we message versus other people? We can't control when people are going to message. So yeah.
Sorry to.
You're good. Yeah, go for it.
So it's not. I think I got it wrong. So the question is, say there's an email about the non-contributor, the new contributor workshop. Okay. So there is an email for call for volunteers. So it's been done by the mentoring sub project. So that's totally all right because they are the owners of it. So my question is should there be a way they should tell the marketing team that they need that to be marketed, like they need that to be campaigned, or should we go and pick it up? Like should we go and manually ask? So what is that process going to happen? It in general for every announcement that comes on the KDev. Should they tell that they need marketing for this? Should they tell us in specific, or should we go and ask them if they need some marketing and then do an email and then a Twitter campaign? So how does it work?
Yeah, I completely hear you now. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. And I think I put this in the category of awareness and value of this group. Like people aren't aware we exist, so they might not come to us. And in that way, like we have to be outbound. We have to go to them, be like, hey, saw this, we have these other channels. We're gonna repeat it a few more times to help. Does that sound good? Like kind of get their permission, but also give them a little awareness. Other times, once we hit that like saturation point where people are aware of us, we'll get more inbound. Like, hey, Rajula, we're thinking about messaging this. Could you help us message it? And that should either be through our issue template or through the SIG contributor experience channel on Slack. And either one of those will happen, I think, with increasing frequently as we continue to share and remind people we exist and that we're here to help them. But I'd say for the foreseeable future, it's probably 80% we're reaching out and only a very little trickle, 20% of them coming to us because we just don't have saturation yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
No, definitely. It's a great question. And yeah, if you think it would be helpful to outline that or to sort of, I'll think about how to set that as like a really clear statement for others. Because if that wasn't clear to you, then it's definitely not clear to a lot of people because you've been here from the beginning. Yeah, okay. I'll think about messaging of like what it feels like an internal messaging challenge that we should be able to make nice and clear in our group meetings so that we're all on the same page. Thanks, Rajula. That was really helpful. Other people have questions, thoughts, clarifications they need? See thumbs and mute symbols and keep cruising. Email announcements using personal ID, okay. And then announcing comms template on Twitter to KDev. Yeah, I think once we merge like the next rev of the comms template, I would love to get some tweets and an announcement out, just like an FYI for it. One of the most ironic things about marketing is how bad marketers are at marketing themselves. And I'd like us to be better at that. But like sometimes we just got to remind people we exist and why we exist and how we can help them. And it's always an option, but like if they don't know the options available, no one's going to use it. So yeah, we could definitely afford to get that message out. I'm really encouraged that we had 3 or 4 people use the first rev of the template and even had somebody recently use it. But it's very clear due to the size and demand of our community and having that few people use it is a sign to me that I bet we had a lot of drop off when somebody clicked it. They saw 1,000 boxes and they're like, nope, just deleted it and sent it to Slack instead. I would do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm really looking forward to the Rev 2. Kazan, if you think if there's other messaging, I tried to do a little bit of a pitch for us at the bottom. If you think there's other messaging that would be really important up front, let's do it. If not, like let's try to weave that through our repo so that like when people find us, Like it's super easy. Like it's punchy. Like we're here to support you. Here are the tools that we have. We'll constantly be refining that. It's never going to be good enough for us, and that's kind of the fun of it. Keep improving our messaging based on feedback. Great.
Should we also look at posting something about the team on Discourse? Because
that's a good idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the audience is way different over there.
Yeah.
We're bad at this.
We're bad at this. No, it's just there are more channels.
We're just normal. Yeah.
You just.
Yeah.
Do we all have permission to post a Discourse, or is that only George?
No, we all can. I think is the pinning and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. I'd love to wrap this up in a I'd like to pin we've got a new rev of our comms template, like as like a bit of a action required thing for people, or like a FYI. And like just to bundle it all up so that people see the same message in multiple channels and like, yeah, maybe I should give this a try. So let's say once that 50002 merges, we'll just do that. Upon merge, we will email an FYI, post a discourse about the group, tweet a few times. Yeah, because we don't want to earn the title of being spammy. But like we can afford to at least message once a few times. And then Twitter is, to Suresh's point, like that just scrolls by so fast, we can afford to post multiple times. How's that sound?
100% agree.
Love it. Love campaigns when they don't suck. Big caveat.
You're so silly.
Mentoring. Okay, so going into recurring items, calendar walk for email announcements.
So we have a couple of things. Like we discussed, I'm going to contact them and then ask them if they need something. And then
go. So one recommendation on that, instead of asking if they need something, most people don't know what they need or don't need from communications. I think like if you can offer and they can reject it if they don't want it, like, so say like, hey, we normally do X. Like we normally email this out a couple times. We'll tweet it regularly for a few weeks. We'll message in Slack channels. Does that sound good to you? That tends to help people because they don't know most people don't know how to do this. That's kind of the fun of it. And we can offer a default service, if you will.
Got it. Hi, I have an idea.
Please.
So we have like a lot of SIGs in Kubernetes community, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
So like, you know, if I'm the first, like if I'm visiting the Kubernetes contributor Twitter handle for the first time, or like, you know, if I'm reading an email from the Kubernetes community for the first time. So what I would expect is like, you know, I expect some, you know, direction. So let's say, what if we tweet, you know, periodically? So let's say about, you know, marketing SIG. So, you know, we just put some heading and then we just give some, you know, some people's email. For example, I'll give, you know, if you want any direction or if you want any mentoring, you can contact Matt, like that. Or like, you know, the next recurring meeting is so and so date. So what if we tweet these things as well for all the SIGs?
Oh, interesting. That'd be I hear, if I'm hearing you correctly, Suresh, I should repeat it back before I assume, that like it would be nice to have a recurring Twitter campaign, or a campaign that's a recurring segment of, for each SIG, message that the SIG exists, thinking from a new user perspective, completely new user perspective. Hey, this SIG exists. Here are some people that run it. Here's when they're meeting next. Is that kind of the framing?
Yes.
That's solid. I think we do some of that stuff. Yeah, Caslin every week kind of goes through what upcoming meetings are happening and tries to schedule tweets to let people know, like, hey, the next SIG networking is meeting on Wednesday. You can join here. So we've got some of that in piece, but I really like that additional like personal angle of if we grab the Twitter handles of the SIG leads or something and mention that like, hey, these SIGs are the leads are these people, so follow them on Twitter and show up to a meeting. I don't think anyone would mind that.
Yeah, and we can add hashtags as well. Like for example, if it's marketing, we just add the slash marketing or hash marketing. If it is networking, hash networking. Yeah,
I'm supportive of whatever others agree on that. I'm personally not a huge hashtag user because search has gotten so good, and I try to think of it like a conversation. But if others see uplift from using hashtags, like let's use it. Let's use it.
I think it's we can try that out. Just thinking, it has to something specific to the SIG, right? I mean, a generic hashtag would actually, I mean, it won't help in any way, right? It just eat up the characters.
Hashtag agenda. I think that would probably hit some weird conspiracy theory Twitter that we don't want to be a part of. But
we have to be very careful, right? Like we need to come up with a list of like approved hashtags potentially.
Let's stay within our comfort zone. Like hashtag networking is or hashtag open source. Like these are things that like if there's an audience behind it and let's just say like we agree to at least look at some of the conversation in a hashtag before using it. I think that is a nice low bar. Avoiding stepping in it. which we've all stepped in it before. It sounds like in the grounds. So.
I'm better safe than sorry.
Yeah. So I think I have a fun takeaway for my job for next week. Like we're starting to kind of put together a portfolio of small to large campaigns that we're doing, and like I'm going to try to think of a way of writing those down so that we are clear what's in progress, and just start to think about like how we message that to ourselves and maybe could summarize it to others. Because I think if we can show like this sort of how we provide an arc of awareness, like not just like, oh, this one-off dot, I think we're getting to the maturity where that's possible. And it's almost even, I don't want to say easy, but it's getting easier. So I'll think through that. Thoughts?
Just adding to the periodical tweets about the SIGs and working groups, I think it's best if we can just give the template to everyone and tell us what content they want and whom should we tag on Twitter. It's easy than I'm going to each SIG and asking whom to tag.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point.
Yeah, consent is important.
I think we can give an option to the SIGs if they want a campaign about their SIG. So they can give us what tweet they want, whom to tag in the tweet. So we can just send out the comms template and then look out for the new issues.
Totally. It's a give and take here, right? Like if you ask people to do stuff when they're already busy and they don't know the value of what you do, then they won't do a damn thing. So I'm always like, how do we get a few wins so that we can point to? We actually already have some wins, so you can be like. So what was it? The SIG scalability, we got new people to join that SIG by writing about it and tweeting about it. So be like, hey, we had a lot of success. So I'm always like, how do we anchor our own story? So we could message out to SIG leads like, hey, with SIG scalability, we wrote this article, we messaged it out, and they have new members that are contributing. That's really cool. Can we help you do that? Here's how we think we can help you. Could you fill out this Google form just to give us like a tweet worth of something, or fill out this issue template, whatever you think the next step is. I really like that framing. I guess I just had to say out loud, like, how do we message that it's worth their time? Because I would assume they don't think it's worth their time because they don't know us yet. That's what we're working on. You think that, is there any, like, who would want to take the next step on that idea?
I guess that might be me. I don't know.
All right, my dog is going nuts, so I can't really.
Yeah, you're good,
Okay.
Chris.
I'm gonna go. Bye.
Steven.
We have like 3 minutes in our normally scheduled programming anyway.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, why don't we open an issue? Like, and no one needs to claim it right away, but Rajula, you just made a great point. Maybe you could pop it into an issue format. You can tag Kaz and myself, and and we'll keep thinking about it. Like, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, tag me as well, just to keep track of things.
Yeah, of course.
Since this is the first time I'm joining this group or meeting, so I want some little help, like now what I can do. I mean, if you can give me some task, I mean, okay, Suresh, just do this one or just write this content, so I can be of help.
I think we can do the issue, I guess, because he started the discussion. Now I think he can do the issue.
Okay, would you be comfortable opening an issue in like talking about the concept you just said of how to reach out to different SIGs and like kind of frame what you were saying, Suresh?
Sure.
What's fun about that is like that gets your name in our repo, and the first step towards getting Kubernetes commit is to be seen as active in issues. So that would actually be great. I'm putting a link in chat right now to. Oops, no, I'm not, because I'm using the wrong command line. There you go. So it's /Kubernetes/community. And then if you tag any of us here, we can talk to the bot to get the next stuff going, because that's really confusing at first. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you here. You definitely are in the right place.
Thank you. I mean, nice meeting you all.
Yeah, nice meeting you, Rajula, Kazan, Piyush. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you. Glad we're all holding up. What's up,
cool.
Rajula, what were you going to say?
No, I just had one last question.
Yeah, go for it.
So let's say if I want to create new issues and new ideas related to the bot, where do I create it in the community repo?
So based on what you were saying, new issues for the bot, if you think it's like a feature request type thing, I'd probably throw it into the community repo and tag it community comms.
Okay. Let's say if I put it in the Slack infra and if I tag it, will it be visible in our project board?
Not at first. I don't know if contributor comms is in that. Well, let's take that to Slack and figure out how to do that so that we can get a clean dashboard.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, let's test it out. Good. All right. Have a great weekend, all. Take care of yourselves and talk soon.
Yeah. So the area is contributor comms, right? I mean,
That's
if I create a new. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and you put a / it's contributor experience and community or comms, whatever it is.
Okay.
If you message me on Slack, I'll send you an example too.
Cool. I'll do that.
All right, want to be respectful of people's time, so we got to drop. All right, later all.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.